right, so can I call the meeting to order? I don't have my phone, so calling the...
9:12.
Okay. So calling the Council Aging, yes, that's the agenda, and the new mission statement.
Thank
Calling the COA board meeting of January 21st, 2025. The time is 9:12.
Yep.
9:12. And we are being recorded by Area 58. So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out in the cold and the ice. And Judy, I'm so glad you made it.
I brought my glasses. I left my handicap plaque on the table.
Oh. Well, let's all stand for Pledge of Allegiance. We're happy that you're here.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So then we have the approval of the minutes. Darlene hasn't typed them up, so next time, Darlene, would that be good?
I'll send them out. I think I did. There's so much going on.
I know.
Yeah,
Do you have your notes from the last meeting? Okay. Not available.
I thought I did. Okay, that's all right.
We'll bring...
I could have sworn I did them. When you start dreaming that you did the notes,
I know.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
No,
So let's... Well, the director's report, is all of that in new business, so we can just kind of skip over that and go right to the chair's report, which so last meeting we talked about revising. We felt that the mission statement for the board was too long, and we talked at the meeting about how we wanted the mission statement to read, what we felt we could get rid of, and how we could best condense it to say basically the same thing as a board, what we wanted. So I can read it. The Council on Aging's mission is to advocate for older adults, their families, and caregivers. We are the hub of resources to identify the health, social, and cultural needs of our community while promoting their independence, wellness, and dignity. So if anybody would like to comment, change, add, or if we can just vote to accept this as a new mission statement for the COA.
I like it.
Yeah.
It seems to flow very easily reading.
Yeah, thank you.
So could I have a motion to accept the new mission statement?
Make a motion, we accept the new statement.
You want a second? Okay. All those, thank you. Okay, all those, I have a motion on the floor to accept the mission statement as written and read. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. So this, I was telling Pat, the duties and responsibilities that was on just the same page that where I have my mission statement. So that hasn't changed. And if Pat, you have any questions on that, let me know. But we are a board, and this is all by the town bylaw, Pat, that we're a committee of 5 to 7 people, and we are appointed by the Board of Selectmen. Since we have a board of 4 now, we are still in the process of trying to get a new member, and I see that's on the agenda. That's one of the... Fred has a doctor's appointment, so he couldn't make it. But we are a board of 4, so we have a quorum of 3. So that's voted on. we will go to new business, and Darlene will talk a little bit about the floor at the COA resource room.
Okay, so it came out very good. We completed, thanks to Scott and his team there, we have finally completed the floor in the resource room.
What is it, Howard? I know I have to get over and see it, yeah.
Yeah, it's so clean. It's just perfect. It came out great.
beautiful,
yeah.
Jane.
Yeah.
Is it like Howard?
It's brand new, almost brand new floors.
Yeah, so what was happening, like if we put carpeting back down, and so, you know, it was difficult for them to move the chairs back and forth, you know.
Oh,
during
yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know,
And also
'cause-
wheelchairs, walking
Right.
space to trip on.
So the floor was the option, was just a matter of waiting for the floor to, so Doyle Flooring has completed the job and it looks beautiful. Everybody's content. We've
That's
actually,
great.
yep, so we reinstated, so because of all these different things happening there, that resource room being put together and so on, we had to move a lot of the seniors that we did have in participating in the Age Wave social group. We had to move them to Bridgewater until this was completed. So this is our last phase, which will end March 31st. And we would hope to continue based on some funding that we're going to hopefully get. So I'm working on that piece of it. So, and it's the last phase of hybrid programming. So for them, we just added another participant. So we're just hoping we have to.
Oh, that's great. How many participants do you have
So
now?
we're 3 now, but we can the maximum is 4 in that room. So comfortably, plus the instructors. So we have to be mindful of that. But the room is cheerful, and yeah, everybody's enjoying that room. So
That's great.
we leave it open to. Oh, and then we're going to have the fireplace completed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to look like Renee McMurray is coming in, and she's going to actually then have the art group come in too with her, and anyone else too to join. That on the 31st of January, she's going to come in, and they're going to actually look. You know, right now it's just a blank spot where they covered it up, but they're going to look like it's a real fireplace.
They're gonna like do artwork on.
Yeah,
Oh,
artwork on it, so it's gonna look pretty. I mean,
That's
it's
great,
It just adds a
yeah.
little cheer to the room.
So
and
is
makes
it a
warm.
wall right now, or just so they covered over the whole like fireplace with the wall?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that wall will be painted. It will look like it's a real fireplace. We opted for just the simple, you know, what is it, the brick look,
Yeah.
you know, but in white brick, rather than just the fire and all that stuff. So we just said, you know, keep it simple.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful.
So that will be that, and so that's good on the resource room. It's
Okay,
worked out
awesome.
really well. Yeah, came along really good. We could have done the whole place.
No mantle to make it 3D.
Oh, that would be nice. Well, I think once we do this painting, I think it's going to be 3D painting. The way it's going to look like it's indented.
Doesn't it already have a mantle on it though?
Yeah, it does have a mantle. Well, I'm just saying the fireplace
Yeah, I know what
inside,
you
yeah,
mean.
will be looking like
No,
it's
when she
3D.
asked, I just,
Yeah, it does have a mantle.
Yeah. So they covered the whole fireplace with a wall?
It's been covered.
Oh,
A long
really?
time.
Oh, really? Oh, I
how
don't
long.
know.
It's been
Okay.
there for a long time. I know that. but-
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not usable fireplace.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a clean resource room right now, so that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Wish we could have done the dining room, but
I know.
Oh,
Next
well,
time.
we'll let it go.
Well, yeah, we'll be moving, hopefully.
I have to actually, so on the update, the second item was the update on the COA ramp. So as we know, the weather is a factor, so they are going to hopefully complete that the ramp will then come out where that little indentation is. So, yep, and then put a walkway. So it's, we have to follow the ADA compliance rules, which that's what we're working on, or they're working on at this point.
So the parking lot, basically, the parking lot's done, and now they're working on the ramp.
Correct, yeah. So, of course,
what did they do with all the curbs they had sitting on the lawn?
I don't know.
They just disappeared.
Yeah, well,
I thought
we
they
had
were
holidays in Halifax coming up, so we had an event coming up. We just didn't really want to have those there. So, yeah, I don't know what they were going to do with them, but it'll be, I I don't know if they'll come back. Maybe they were storing them there. I don't know. But it'll be nice to.
It was just weird,
Have
you know, you
the
show up
project
and one day
complete.
they're gone and the driveway appears to be done and they're not there and,
Yeah.
did
The
the
driveway
try to
has-
take them?
Yeah, the driveway itself looks better.
Oh, yeah.
I just, it's good. We wish we could do the back, but they just did that, which is perfect. And then the other part, of course, once the ramp is in, and it's going to be, I can't wait for it to be completed, because that other ramp is really a little nerve-wracking, actually.
Yeah.
I don't even like to go down it. And but it's especially in the winter, especially with the ice and snow and all that stuff that's coming. I think we talked about this third item was the work on the job description. So I noticed that when I looked at some of the COAs, they actually have job descriptions for the boards, like a secretary, what each one did. I didn't know if we wanted to do something like that. I think we mentioned it before a couple, like 5 months ago or something, and I wanted to bring it back to see what your thoughts are, if you wanted to do
So
something
I'm a
like
little, I don't know what those would look like, so I'm
Simple.
not opposed to doing that, but if you want to bring over like samples, like if it's, I know like with the Friends, I know we're a town appointed board, but like the Friends, the secretary, it just takes minutes, sends out correspondence, things like that. Types up the minutes, and so it's like simple like that. So I don't know if you're talking about different like jobs that you have, like what's the chair's responsibility, what's the secretary's responsibility. I think that's and what the vice chair is, or you're talking about a job description, kind of a uniform job description for anybody that's on the COA board. What are you thinking?
I think we can develop anything because nothing's there now. So, but my thought would be to actually write a job description for new members that want to be a part of the board. What their responsibility would. If you had questions like you did before the meeting, and what the requirements should be or could be. When you're out in the public and you're at a party, can you discuss things? Things like that could be defined within, a member. When you become a member, what your responsibilities are. I don't think the clerk does give you that information, right?
Well, I
When
think
you're sworn
that's
in,
all
is that-
part of, like you just had to take the open meeting law training. So I think that, but I think the way you just explained it, a general job description for, I think job description is a little serious. Like, you know what I mean? But guidelines for the board, I think a description of what your, responsibilities are, I think that's a great idea.
Well, some of them also defined like what the chair did, what their responsibility.
Right.
So you could pick what you want to do. Secretary, what that secretary would be, and their responsibility in the board, under the board. So you have the board itself, the description, and then underneath, the different, titles under there.
Do you want to, if you want to share that with me, I can write
Okay.
some stuff up and then bring it to the next meeting?
Yeah, I'll
Like a general responsibility for a board member, and then what?
all right.
I think so. It would be the chair. And do we have a vice chair? We do have a vice chair, right?
I don't ever remember having one.
No.
I thought it was in the procedures. Yeah.
I thought it wasn't.
So for now, let's just do the chair and the secretary.
Okay.
It's funny because my older grandson has, what do you do?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's what people do ask that question. They're like, well, what's my responsibility? What would be the response? Like, I might be the secretary, but what's my responsibility to do that?
Right.
So it's like, oh, here is something simple that, or just to find what that person would do, so they would just come in and not know what they may be able to participate in or
Yeah.
choose to participate in.
So I think that's a good idea. So you can get those out to me, and I'll bring something to the board. It's simple, but I think it's a good idea. And then as we're trying to recruit people,
Yeah.
we can say, here's what kind of we do. Here's our mission. Here's what we do. We're support for the COA director. That's really what our main goal is, and somewhere I think that's in our duties and responsibilities. That's in our policies and procedures.
Yeah, and it's good to have a connection. It's
Yeah.
a liaison. You guys are being a liaison for the COA for me to understand what's out there. What's going on in the community too. It's pretty apprised of a lot of different things, but it's always good to have that extra
Right.
support in that. So that was the possibility of the addition of the board. It's interesting because when I first came on board, I remember they said, keep the board small.
Yeah.
But I always thought it was nice to have a nice variety of different personalities and everything. But I don't know, it's whatever, But so we had one more board, with Fred in there. It's perfect, I think. But to have an extra one would be nice too.
So I'm looking at the policies and procedures that we did, and it's basically when do we have our meetings, how to call a special meeting, what the purpose of the board is, membership,
Depends.
how to change it. So in Article 6 there, it does say the different committees that we might have, like a nominating committee, a budget committee, a policy and procedures committee. So we don't have that, and that's like at the trustees. We don't, unless we need that. This just defines that.
Some of those things we've handled as a board,
Right.
rather than
Yes.
individually
Yeah.
anyway. So
Okay. But no, this does not give specific. This just gives kind of rules.
Yep.
Okay. And our newest member, Pat, will be submitting to. I have her. So I have your email. I will send off to you. What's needed for you. You have to fill out a form and then send me a copy of your license. And then I will submit a query check on you, and it usually comes back
okay,
almost
you'll do it. Okay, cool.
instantaneous.
You want a copy of my license now?
Well, you have to fill out the form
Oh,
anyways.
okay.
Yeah, you have to fill out a form that I'm going to email you. Okay.
It's a new form now, right? Yeah.
So I don't have a new form. I have the form that I have to submit from the.
I do too. Someone
Yeah.
said there was a new form right now, and I'm like,
No, I have to log on to the website with all of that,
Yeah,
and so
me
I
too.
just log on to the website with all of that. And okay, so that's good. That's taken care of. And you have a new possible addition to the board.
oh, do I?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was on you.
Yep, I did.
When
put
I
that
asked you
possible-
what we should put on the
Oh my
agenda,
goodness.
you said,
I know.
somebody talked to me and we have a possible new person on the board."
I think I lost him. He swam away. No,
You just swam away. Okay.
who is it? Oh my goodness.
Okay.
No, so someone approached me about being on the board, and I said, well, think about it. And they said, oh, it would be nice to have a job description. And so they said, okay, fine, and I'll come back. I don't know if I can mention their name yet. Can I? I think I better wait. I don't know.
So I think the best thing to do is have them fill out a talent
Yeah.
bank form.
Right.
And they can either come and talk to me or you.
Yep.
I mean, we don't actually have to have those responses, that job description filled out or approved just yet. we can just have them, either talk to any one of us, but the first step is for them to fill out
Right.
a talent bank form and then to come to a meeting or,
it's a he. And
That would be
so
nice.
he
That would
was
be very
super,
nice.
super nice, super retired. And he he actually filled out a talent bank form. And so what happened, I said, well, let's see where we can place you here. And he was really excited to be a part of the COA, to do something for us. And so I said, well, let me talk to my board and see what their thoughts are. But I think you'd be a great addition to this board. So I'm going to approach him. I have his talent bank.
You have his talent bank
Yep.
form?
It was sent over. Pam sent him over to us. So I just thought it would be a great option for us to have an additional mail order.
yeah.
Not that it matters, but it just looked. He was really energetic.
So if you want to invite him to the next meeting, so
Okay.
isn't that how we
Yep.
we invite him
Okay.
to the next meeting, and then we talk about it, and he can see if he wants to be a part of that, and then we have to get him on the selectmen's agenda.
Yeah, he's new.
That's great.
Yeah, it was cool. I thought I would run it by you guys first before I make that
Yeah.
suggestion to him. But I did give him a little hint, maybe
Good,
some
good.
options.
So Darlene is going to. Darlene, you should be taking notes for next meeting.
Yep.
This meeting and then last meeting.
Right.
Could have sworn I did them, but whatever.
I didn't.
So Darlene will invite.
Who's posting them on the website?
So that's what I wanted to add to that. So I can post them if you want me to.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. And I have them, and I will talk to Caesar about getting on your page. Okay. So Darlene will invite the talent bank form applicant to the next meeting. Okay, perfect. And we talked about Pat submitting to her query, so everybody has to be queried. Okay. The next is the letter.
You had that probably erased from your record, right?
No, jeez. You just got that one. No.
So there's different levels that you submitted to when you're a person that you have to fill out a whole application to be a person that can submit queries. And so I can only know a certain amount. Like if she committed like a felony or something like that, I don't even think that would pop up on my level. I'm not really sure about that, but I don't
Didn't
think.
even get a speeding ticket, so you're safe.
Yeah, you're safe. Okay. Yeah, I know. Darlene's query's already been done.
I passed with flying colors.
Yeah,
I had a warning once, but I never got a ticket.
She got warned.
I got one too,
Don't do
but
it
that was a
again.
long time
It was in
ago.
Boston,
Oh.
and I was going into the government hospital, and I had been going that way for years. And all of a sudden I get stopped, and there's a lady in front of me in a Mercedes, covered with jewels and stuff. And he stops her, and all of a sudden his face is getting red. And my girlfriend's with me, and I said, I'm going to jail. So when she leaves, she runs over his toe. I looked at her and I said, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to jail. He comes over to me and he's talking to me. And that was when Polo first came out. And I couldn't help it, I'm wearing Polo. And he looks at my girlfriend, is she trying to brown nose a cop? My girlfriend said she wouldn't know how. So he gave me a warning.
For what?
For taking, you're not supposed to turn there.
Oh.
So then I said, well, how am I supposed to go? I've been going this way for years. He says, you've been getting away with this for years. I said, yeah. So he told me how to go. But
Yeah.
I was petrified that I was going to jail because of and the lady was arguing with them. You know, and here I come and we're on polo.
And you were just
blow them away, I guess.
I get a warning for asking the question. I don't know. Anyway, so poor Diane's by herself.
I just saw something on the agenda, the next meeting date. So I think this is the day after the holiday. So I have 9 o'clock. So we will change the
9:30.
next meeting date
At 9:30.
to 9:30.
Hey, my
And the next meeting date is 2/18, and it'll be at 9:30. So, okay, so now we have this letter from Joe Benson. He is the tax guy. People do ask about him. And I kind of told them what this is. Do you want to talk a little bit about Joe Benson? Do you know who Joe Benson was? Yes, okay.
You know, and he's been an icon here apparently, and it's hard to change something that's always been in a place. And so what happens, and the way I explain it is that anybody that we bring in as an instructor, they are required, I guess that's the word, are needed to submit anything that they collect. It might be $5, whatever, but they have to submit it to the town treasurer and the town accountant. So they get $10.99, I believe, at the end of the year. But anyway, all instructors, everyone. So, but with the exception of Joe. So he pays. So what happens is, and I asked Joe, I said, so what really does happen here? So he said that, you know, he's using our facility, electricity, our building. Diane's booking the appointments. So all of those being done, so he's getting a free spot to sit to do his taxes. And I know it's an in-kind because it's not charging the real rate. And I know other towns allow for that. So what other towns, I call the other towns that have him, because we don't have an AARP program that's free right now. We tried to start one, but we do need to have 3 people that would be volunteers that would come in, and we do have a gentleman from Duxbury that offered to do it and run it. He's the liaison person, but we didn't get the other support. So to have a free system. So like some of them do, like Kingston and Duxbury does. So with that said, we want to support our community. So he comes in, but you guys pay him there, and he just doesn't have to submit it like the other vendors do. And I thought, well, isn't that not correct? You know, you need to really follow the same format as all the other vendors. So with that said, I had to write a letter to say to him that, you know, basically our space is being utilized, and for the collections of funds, it's probably not appropriate, so we can be consistent with other vendors. So we still have it. We'll still offer that for our support of our community. And what was happening too, we were getting outside people.
Well,
from
how
all
will you
over.
still have it?
Well, he could come and do the taxes for you guys because they still want them. We don't have any other backup to that, and it's a service.
But he's going to submit it to the town.
Well, he would actually not collect any fundings there. You know what I mean? So he could do the taxes, enter the information in, but to accept a check and to accept any kind of monies, I can't control that. I think next year we're going to just spell it out and just say clearly no.
So,
but if you were to rent, if the letter that I sent, you know, I said there would be $25 an hour.
so the thing is he using the building? So he is still using your building and your space and your staff time and everything.
Right. So people are what's happened is for years this has been going on. So
No, I know that. Yeah.
So I called other towns that utilize him because they don't have an AARP program. And they said, oh no, we never have any of our vendors submit any funding to the town. So in other words, they just pocket the money and go. So in other words, if they have a Tai Chi class, if they have a Zumba class, if they have any kind of exercise class, they just
In
take
their building?
Yep, in their building. The person comes in, does the exercise class, does whatever, art class, whatever, and if they collect any funds, they just don't submit them. They're not required to submit that to the town. In Kingston, they do have to submit it to the town. Here, they do have to submit it to the accountant, even if it's $5. But if somebody has, like, he would be collecting a lot more, of course, and now
But you're still allowing him to use your space and your facilities.
Correct. You just
Okay.
can't collect. So I said to him, listen, we have to kind of move on because now you've created a list of different pricing. It's not like $30 for everyone. Now it's $50
And
initially.
I'm not sure I understand why he's still allowed to use your space.
Well, I approached it so that it was trying to be diplomatic and trying to be respectful to the community that we serve. Because I know people are not happy if you do take things away. And so this year I look back to see how many people that we ended up serving. It was a good over 50 people, maybe even 100.
Which is a lot of money that,
Yeah. So my point is that how do we approach it that the seniors won't be upset or anybody that's getting that type of service? I'm trying to be as diplomatic as possible without having to be, to take anything away from the seniors because then where would they go? Who would they go to? Duxbury did offer.
so but you sent this letter to him and you're telling him his second option is that he can collect those funds, but they have to be submitted to the accountant.
Correct, they would. So he called me on this letter. And I
Okay.
said to him, well, the key thing is you're collecting funds there in the premises of our building. And I says, I can't honor that based on.
But
my
are you going
committee.
to allow that? I think that's where I'm confused.
Yeah.
But then you decided to allow that?
I got a letter from him, and there's pricing on the back, too. I just got this.
So, but when you talk to him, are
did.
you going to allow him to use your building?
Yes, but not collect funds.
Okay.
He wouldn't be, okay, so see, so now it's, yeah, because this
I
is.
couldn't understand
He
it,
never,
really.
so I pulled up records from previously, back in 2018, before I even got here. 2018 or so, it looked like that somebody had requested that he make a donation to the senior center at some point for use of that room. So I was like, well, what happened to that? Did something, so I asked him about it, so he wasn't aware of it, I think. That's when I first got here. Because I just want to be consistent with other vendors that we use. And that's all I want to do. But I also want to
But
be
we're
fair
not
to
being,
our seniors.
but we're not being fair to other vendors that we use.
Right. I mean, collection, he initially, what the other directors that do have him come in, they said to me, well, basically he would be, if you were to go to a tax person, would be a lot more money. But, so it would be kind of an in-kind service where he's only charging 50, but now there's a
But
schedule.
isn't that true for all of your vendors?
Yes.
Like how much is your Zumba class? Because you can't take a Zumba class for less than $30. So how much is your Zumba instructor charging?
Right.
And you're still making her submit to the town following all the rules.
Yeah.
Like, I get that this is not right, but he still is using your building to, I know he's giving a break, but it's only fair to all the other instructors that he follow all the rules. And
And we did agree on this before, that, it wasn't the fair thing to do because of the other vendors. I feel as though that when I institute a specific, guideline or institute what the format should be, I seem to get some pushback on that. So I think what happens is people become a little bit more, they become upset because they don't know where else to turn. Where it's a tax thing and it's a very important part of the seniors' lives, I had to kind of evaluate that situation and determine whether or not who are we talking about. We're talking about, serving our public and serving our older adults. But if we're going to start serving, and I think it's in there that under 50, under 60, if they're and that used to do that. Anybody that was under age 60 would be able to come into our senior center. There's a lot of things that I had to clean up in a lot of ways,
But anybody can come into your senior center and use. Did you put restrictions on?
Yeah. So Diane, when we take that report, when somebody calls in, anybody that's our member, which would be on our COA members list through our database, and 60 and over, or 55 with a disability, we would be able to serve that person within the capacity. But just anybody walking in, which even we were doing from other towns, that was not appropriate. So again, he's in there for the 3 hours on Wednesday. It's going to be short term. But I spelled out that this is what we have to follow going forward.
But you're not following
I
it.
know.
So you spelled it out. I know you spelled it out to him, but you're not following it.
You're right. And the thing about it is, I was thinking of the seniors this year, and I don't know what to say.
I know, but we were thinking of the seniors last year too.
I know. But I mean, will they understand?
And now he went up $10,
Which is 50% of his fee.
But I guess how much is the average? I guess how much is the average tax thing?
Right, but like I said, to take a Zumba class, Zumba class would cost me, $30. But because she's only charging $10, she still has to submit to the town. She has to pay taxes on all of this.
Yeah.
We're just allowing him to run his business out of the COA.
It's not. Yep. And again, it's been a consistent thing for many years there, right? I don't know how long. To break it, it's transitioning, and I'm trying to be as gentle as possible to the seniors, and I want to protect them as much as I can, because that's what I feel like I should be doing. However, and give them an option as to where to go. I was trying to create an option. That option was the AARP program.
So what's involved? Like, what do we have to do to get that?
Okay, so we actually have a lead team who I reached out to when I first got here in 2021, and asked if he could actually come here to have this AARP program for free, because it's called Vitra, and the seniors should have access to that. So he said he would do it. So that's why Rich comes from Duxbury, and he started coming here. So he said, all right, let's get going. Let's go get this done. So we advertised. We needed to have 3 volunteers plus him to oversee that, where they come in and bring their laptops, and we'll do the seniors' taxes. And so we got a couple of interested people that potentially might end up going to take the course. You got to take a course. We started in September, and so we advertised it in the summer months for September. So the volunteer would take the classes and then be prepared. I think it starts September, October. You would take those classes and then have to take an exam.
So we didn't get anybody that would do that.
No, they didn't come forward. The people that were supposed to come forward, I volunteered my time to do it. It's a lengthy. He's an amazing person for volunteering, because you have to take an exam, you have to pass the tests, you have to, with all the new changes in the laws and all that stuff. It's amazing. But
so tell me a typical
what other
so he's there, and you've given him a small building, but you've given him a whole space, and he sits down. And how much time does he spend with each client going over their
20
taxes?
minutes with me.
about 15 or 20 minutes.
Yep,
Right.
so it's increments, you're right, 15 minutes. I think we put 20 minutes
Okay.
in our thing. So, and we set it up, and it's from like 1
And
to
where does this
3.
take? Where does it take place? Is it in the kitchen, or I mean, it must be somewhere that you have to give them private space,
Yeah, it's
right?
on a Wednesday morning, on a Wednesday, yep.
In the resource room?
Nope, because that's being occupied right now. So we actually would have it. He could do it in the dining hall, or he could do it in the outreach, room there.
Last year was he.
Yeah, we had to have it here last year before we implemented the true rules of it.
Well, we didn't implement any.
Well, we didn't. No, but here you had to pay.
That's interesting because where I came from, they had 3 people that would do that for free, and then they had somebody you had to pay. And what they did to separate the two, you had to make an appointment and wait to get into the free one.
Yeah,
But you could get right in if you paid.
yeah.
The issue is using the building to make money without
Declaring it.
without declaring it, or without giving the COAs without it actually benefiting.
Correct.
So nobody can use the community room to sell their things. They can't come in, and they can do a free program. They can't charge. They can do a free program. And they can advertise their stuff and say, hey, this is what we had an essential oils program. So she brought all her stuff and she showed how to concoct everything. But if you wanted to, you couldn't sell anything. She could give out her business cards, and then you could contact her and buy her wares outside the property. And that's how it is for anybody. Unless it's an author or something doing a program for free, then they can't use the building to make money. And I get that this is a service for the seniors, but the prices have gone up, and he's using a town building to make money.
He also picks up at houses in the park for people that cannot get to the COA.
Okay.
And he'll deliver it back to. He does do that service. Although he said he's going to cut that out. Eventually, I guess. I don't think he is this year.
Yeah. So that's
So
why.
you sent him that letter, but basically he doesn't have to follow that letter.
So basically, I said to him, when he called me about the letter, I said, well, we have to make this, the board and we talked about it, it's been discussed, and then we have to follow this. And then, so he says, well, I said, I know people want to come, and you've had this following for a long time, but we've narrowed it down to the people that have just registered with us. Now we know who's coming into our building, and also the simple fact of collections. So he said that he wouldn't collect, but it would just provide the service for the seniors. So I said, well, let me talk to the board about that. So so that's what we're talking about. So we do, I mean, like I said, I can enforce this, but if it does get enforced, and I can enforce it, the problem here is I don't want to have people come back and say, she did this. Now that is bad, and this is wrong, and this is this. So I want to make sure that it's very upfront as to the reason why, and also that we were trying to be as fair as possible to everyone. But of course, we are still serving our seniors and utilizing. So I'm trying to provide a happy balance in a way, so that if he doesn't collect the funds, whether or not he bills them outside of the COA, I don't, want to know anything about that. But to collect it and hand you a check or whatever the fundings are, whatever it is, and the premises of the COA, it wouldn't happen. So that was the only way
So
to
how
approach
much time?
this.
So
15 minutes. He collects all the information, does the taxes off-site. So he does finish the work on his own off-site.
And he'll deliver the package back to us at the park.
So Is he mailing, but not, so not at the park? So somebody that lives on, Cranberry Drive comes in and sits down with him for 15 minutes, hands him all his taxes, and then he must hand them some type of, this is how much this is going to cost you. And then they mail it to his house or whatever. Where do they get their taxes back? Is he bringing their taxes back is he making copies at the COA of people's
Well, see, I stopped that. It was being allowed before I got there.
So what's going to happen this year? Is he
So I
going
never,
to be...
nope, I stopped it because number one...
So he can't make copies?
Nope. So what happened? So what was happening is that people coming in say, "Oh, Joe said to drop this off," and they would drop off their copy of their Social Security or whatever. I said, "No, we cannot accept any personal information." And then hand it to him. I said, "You have to deal it directly with him." He's there, enters all the stuff into his computer system for 15 minutes. Boom, it's done. He owns it. Okay, so he'll off-site any information that needs in addition, and he says to come back to the senior center to drop it off. We can't accept that and take the responsibility of making sure that he gets it. Those things were always done for a long time, and I had to say no, that we can, not just to say no, we can't do it, but to say, hey, listen, if this is lost, we are responsible for that.
But we're
I
still-
don't feel
right,
as
but
though you're putting ourselves in a
So we're
position.
using staff, I'm just trying to see how much, so we're using staff time just to make appointments?
Correct, like we would for anything else, right?
Right, but anything else is a direct benefit, like to, you know what I mean? It doesn't benefit anybody. This is benefiting him, and we're allowing him to use the building to make money. But, so I'm just trying to see, so it's staff time, and I can't imagine that's, how many appointments does he usually take over the calendar year, over the course of the year? Is he here for one Wednesday? Is he here for...
One Wednesday a month. No, I'm sorry, a week. He's every, okay, so from July 31st, or whatever is I think it's July 30th, it's a Wednesday. So he's starting the end of July. He would start the end of July until April.
15?
No, it's before, April 15th, but it's always like a couple
who
of days
does their
before.
taxes in August?
No, he wouldn't.
So what's he do? What's he do at the end of July?
January.
Yeah. So what's he do in July and August? I mean, in August.
So January 29th would be his starting time.
Okay.
Collecting the information, and then his end time would be in April.
Oh, so it's January. Okay.
Yeah. January. Yeah. Did I say June?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. January to the 9th, which is the Wednesday in April, the last Wednesday in April, he
Right.
can do them. Yeah.
Right. So every Wednesday he's blocked out 3 hours of COA time,
Correct.
and that's staff time.
Correct.
I was trying to,
So he might get like 5 people that day, okay, scheduled, and then they would actually, he would collect all the information in the computer system, collect it down, and then he deals with the consumer after that on his own. And not collections. But I know, again, enforcing this, it'll happen. It's just a matter of, okay, as an alternative, I was trying to create an alternative to people, and it didn't happen. So what alternative could I provide to them? So the gentleman that was offered to run the AARP program, he says, well, if you can't get anybody here in town, he says, just send them over to Duxbury.
So the alternative is that we are allowing him to use the space, to use staff time, but to not collect money in the building. So that's the kind of the happy balance that you're trying to create, so that we can provide this service, yet
It is good service for me.
Yes, I mean,
Right,
I'm trying to
know,
be as transparent
I know.
as possible.
Right.
You
So
know,
I can see
it's
both
a hard
sides.
decision, and it's
Right.
because
It
it
is a hard
supports. It's a
decision.
support you guys. You've been doing it for years, and it's quality. It's one of those
But
services.
it is not fair to the other
It's not.
instructors. I'm just
Nope.
putting my 2 cents on that.
Nope.
It is not fair to the other instructors that have to follow the rules.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is, I was the one that brought it up, only because of the fact I saw this discrepancy here, and I said, well, if that's the case, and you're bringing in a lot more funds, and you're collecting it there, why isn't that being submitted over to the accountant's office and the treasurer's office here, like the other people do? So I was the one who mentioned it. However, how to approach it was then find an alternative. My thought was, this has been going on for a couple of years, since I got here, but I was trying to be as diplomatic as possible to continue to serve the community, then reaching out to other centers to find out why, not all centers, they're all not created equal. And that's what makes it difficult here. And I talked to the executive office of, it's now, the EOEA, Executive Office of Elder Affairs, is no longer Elder Affairs. It's the Executive Office of Aging and Independence. They just voted that the name change. And you'll see a lot of the literature now not using the words elderly and so on. But the whole objective, and I talked to the EOEA and said to them, why not make all COAs the universal, like certain things like this, because it makes it difficult for the smaller suburbs or other COAs that can't get somebody through the AARP program or through VITRA. And then I have to send someone to, sure, they offer free services, if you go to Brockton or if you go outside of town.
But can I just say, it opens it up. So the Zumba instructor is going to say, okay, I'm going to do this for the COA. I'm going to use the space at sole purpose. I don't have to pay for that. I just have to show up, and then I'm going to have everybody send me $10 through the mail. And then you can pay $10 and get, $20 off a Zumba class, and then she doesn't have to
I agree.
pay taxes for that. I mean, we're just opening up the door for all these people that are following the rules to not follow the rules.
But why wouldn't he have started this at his own home if it was his own business? Because he was allowed to use a building. And it looked like it was a service that we
And it
were
looked like it
providing.
was a service that you were providing, when in reality, yes, he's giving a discount, but there are,
So I'm going to do this, and this is why I'm mentioning it again, because we still have time to pull it, and if I can enforce this.
well, it's
The
not,
point-
I can give
No,
my
I just
opinion,
want-
and then you guys can have
I
your
want to make
opinion.
a decision as
and
a
you can
voting
have,
board.
right, yes, I think that's correct.
Is there any way you can talk to other people that do this? And even if they come one Wednesday to help out a few, and if you can get half a dozen people to do that, just come one day over here to do it for free.
That's the problem. We can't.
But why would anybody do that for free when he's making
You got
a
to start.
fortune?
So first and foremost,
if we stop him, just to have somebody do something over here that gives the aging people a
so
choice.
so if it's being done in Kingston or being done in Duxbury, the people that volunteer are residents of that community, So, or maybe Kingston sends their group over to. Actually, I think Kingston just stopped. They didn't have the space to allow for that, so they just have that AARP program now. People can still go to Duxbury and they still just offer it. But there's not enough volunteers, just like there's not enough shop
So how do they
volunteers.
handle the taxes in Kingston?
So, I don't know, I heard just now that they changed they don't have the space to have the AARP program there. They were offering.
So they never
once a-
had something like this. They always had like the AARP program. So are there any communities, do you know, that have
Yes, Whitman is just offering him, and I called and talked to the director.
So they use their building.
Bridgewater, he uses their building. And then
Does he
he,
pay anything?
nope. But any of their instructors don't pay, they don't submit any of their funds. They do the class and off they go. They collect the funds, they don't submit it to the town. So I said, oh, well, that's our difference. Our town does require it. So, well, you have to go with what your town's requiring. If your town, your municipality requires that you submit anything that is collected through these instructors, then they have to be
But
submitted to
wouldn't
the
you
account.
think that,
This is what makes it difficult for the COAs, I think, and I said that to the EOEA, is that there's got to be some standard operating procedures on certain things where collections are that, but they don't. They leave it up to the municipalities
because like a
to
municipality,
decide.
like Bridgewater is a municipality, so why would they'd be allowed to use one of their buildings and somebody like make money like that without them giving anything to the town?
Because they classify it as an in-kind service, because they could be paying somebody $100 to do the thing, but the person's doing it for whatever she collects or he collects. So say you get 5 people in a class at $5, right? It's $25, but that instructor typically would get $150. It's classified as an in-kind service. And it's always that gray area. What, you know, I just, that in-kind word is a little bit misconceived. You know, it's just a misconception, I think, of what it really should be. And I don't know how to define it in terms of a COA, but except for the fact that Whitman, I know, they don't, all their vendors don't submit any funds over to the town. None of that. Brockland, they don't do it. And they pull in a big class.
But that doesn't even make, I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me, because it seems like people are making money and they're not submitting it to the state, for you know.
But when we
for
go,
tax purposes,
exactly. When they go to record what that person's doing, so say that COA sees that person coming in as Judy's she's a Zumba instructor, and then or anybody in that classification would actually be in category as in kind, so that when we submit our records at the end of the year to the EOEA to get our funding, that to let them know how we spent our funding based on the census, we have to show what we did. Oh yeah, you had 10 in-kind services, you know, that were offered. So what does that mean? So, but then the municipality's dictating, hey, by the way, if you do that kind of a program, even if they collect $5, you should submit that. Not all towns do it. Not all municipalities do it. I don't know about the cities, but I know that yeah, it's very, very
Unfair.
yeah, I was just like, why can't they just say all municipalities have to require that they don't submit them? But you can't. Kingston does it. They have to submit it to the treasurer's office, anything you collect for funding.
But Bridgewater doesn't have to submit.
They see it differently. Nope.
When
They
did
don't
that
require
law
that
go
they do.
into effect? The selectmen put it in, right? The selectmen would put that rule in, right?
No, that's been just for, I think it's a state
know.
law myself,
Is it?
but I don't know about that,
But it
for
was
as long as I've been here,
It's
that's
the
the way
word
we've been
in-kind
doing
that
it.
is very, I want to be this very transparent, because what happens is people don't understand what's happening behind the scenes. And then as a result, they say, oh, that Halifax just stopped that. And no, the Halifax has been doing something that is a little bit different than some of the communities. So we're trying to be, I mean, we're not all created equal, and that's a problem in some cases.
Can you put an amendment to that rule if it's a rule?
I think it's a
And
state.
don't think so.
unless it's a state, you can't.
No, again, it's not state, it's a municipal.
Right, I guess
you know,
that would take
accounting-
I guess that would take a town meeting vote, and I guess this could be a town meeting vote. Like,
Interesting.
this should be a town meeting vote if we're gonna allow him to use this building and make money off of this building. But I don't know.
I'm thinking age-wise,
I'm
that
just
they made
wondering-
an amendment for the elderly.
but it's not it's a accounting thing. It's a way that the town has to process their money, and I thought it was a state law. In other words, so he's making money, but it's not being claimed by the state. Where the Zumba lady makes $3, and she has to claim that as part of her income. So I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know what all of this. I'm not saying anything about anything that. All I know is that's a town, and I thought it was a state law, but I don't know that.
All the municipalities are different. If it were a state law, they all have to comply with the rules.
Right.
And if they're not, I would
definitely
say it's a state.
It's definitely county, and I don't know why they would vary from town to town. I just don't know.
I don't know either.
And it's just a thing that I just want to make sure that we're doing the right thing in terms of clarification, and I don't want to have anybody treat any other vendor unfairly. They should all be treated equally across the board. And if they're using our space, okay, it depends too. So some towns too, they have community rooms. They rent them out. Right.
For a fee.
They rent them out at night or whatever's going to
So
be.
in other
to
words,
instruct us
he
sometime.
could use the community room at the library and we used to.
And that was,
So it was two ways at the community room at the library. If you wanted to make money and use the community room, you had to pay $20 an hour, and that money went over to, that $20 went over to it wasn't for the library, it was for the town, and went into town funds. The Board of Trustees decided, nope, we don't want to use the community room like that. We want the community room to be for the community. So now you can't use the community room. You can't even pay to use the community room. It's for community groups, non-profit groups that are not basically making money. And that's what our community room and the Board of Trustees has decided. But if I was going to charge somebody to use the community room, or the town was going to charge and they could use it, then all of that money would go over to the town and not to the library. So basically, I don't see this. I don't know that. So I think we should just take
so
a
there
vote.
was something, and I brought this, so I started researching this some time ago, back in, let's see, God, when was this? Like 2 years ago? And I saw something on our email. It says, statement was posted to the COA website, not the newsletter, but it was saying that he would pay 10% to the COA or for the usage of the room. But it says right here, tax preparer service by appointment only, held at Hope's Tavern, Council on Aging from January 15th. Okay. Cost is $40 a person. Okay.
And who is that to?
I don't know. It was something that I don't know who created it back before I got here, but there was something that I had posted, and I asked him about it. Was he aware of it? And he said he wasn't. So it was a 10% give back to the town.
And he hasn't been doing that.
Yeah. So it was. I'll forward this one to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they did way back then. Why that never came about.
It probably came about because it's the
I mean,
law here. Like it's the rule here.
No. Why it came about that it said that at one point they were asking him to pay 10% to the COA
Right.
for the uses of it, but it never occurred or never happened. So why?
Probably. I mean, that's
That's
probably mismanagement. Yeah.
2018, 2019.
Right.
Could it have anything to do with COVID, that they couldn't use the building, and so when they came back?
I don't think he was ever paying to use the space. And my point is, it's just not fair to other vendors, and it's not fair to anybody. But I think that, if you can forward that to me, although I always knew that if you're going to use a town space, then you have to pay to use that town space. And I don't know if that's in writing. I don't know if that's...
But I mean, if he gave 10%, I mean, it's not like most of the other vendors are making money. I would imagine most of them don't get more than $10 a person. And
Right.
around here, that's not very much, maybe $50 a class.
Right.
So, I mean, he's making quite a bit of money.
See, and the thing about it is, I feel, okay, so when I talk to the directors of these towns, they say, well, that's a universal thing. They just let their other people that come in to do their yoga classes or something, class, whatever, they're just doing a service, an in-kind service, where they could be making more money at somewhere else. So they don't collect anything from them. So it's okay for them to do it. But if we're collecting here in
Who's
town...
paying them? That's the thing. Who's
They're getting
paying?
paid. Okay, so the person, say for instance, that teaches Tai Chi class there, if that person has 5 people come in, the incentive is to try to create as many people as possible to come to your class, right? So then they could be $50 one time, or 5 people to 25. So it depends on what they.
But
how
who's
good they
paying
are.
them? Who's paying them?
The people will pay them directly in these other towns.
So they'll walk into a COA building and hand that instructor $5, and that doesn't get
We did that
registered.
too, when we had the
Yep.
chair yoga over to the hall with Judith. We paid her. And she would send a list of how many people she had, so Barbara knew what she got. But I don't remember her turning the money in. But
I
there
guess they
again, we
never
weren't
did.
using the COA building, we were using the Henrich Hall.
Oh, that's maybe another reason why, huh?
Maybe. Well,
I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things. I guess.
Henry Hall would have nothing to do with the town requirements or
Right.
laws or anything like that.
So that's probably
So
why they
maybe
could get
that's
away with it?
probably why.
But were they all always at Henrich Hall?
That class, yes.
Oh, that class.
And then when she gave up and they started again, it was always at the hall.
So maybe that's why they got away with it all those years. I don't know. But even the tax thing, they.
And I mean, even a lot of the things were over here also. They weren't at the COA, they were here. The Zumba class, the
Oh, they were here.
line
That's right.
dancing, and all of that stuff. But this guy wouldn't have been here.
Well, see now, from what I heard, that the line dancing went to Pembroke. I don't know, but they didn't
I don't
want to
know,
pay
I
the
don't-
$25. But the whole point is, the inconsistency is very tough to deal with right now.
Right.
Because, and if we want to enforce this, which we can and we should, the thing is, each town does its own thing. And if they want to go to Whitman, maybe they can make an appointment there and pay them directly under their
I don't know.
jurisdiction.
I think
there.
we talked about this last year,
Yeah, we
but there is
It's tough.
also,
I've seen
the seniors who are, prepared, although he did go up on prices and things like that. So
Yeah, you never had those prices.
I think we should,
until last year.
I think we should vote. I would, just say, for my own personal, so that I know that I vote no, that I don't think that this is following the, rules of everybody else. But I am putting it to a vote to the other members here. And I understand the hardship and I get that, to call the 100 people that are gonna, be very inconvenienced because this tax season is upon us. So I don't want to sway however you guys want to,
I don't know. You're really caught because you're going to hurt one or the other.
Or what we could do is just have them, I could give the alternative towns. than which they could go to. So they can go to Duxbury and get it done for free. They can go to Whitman and have him there, or go to Bridgewater. Or he comes here and he then submits it over to the town, to the accountant.
What does he
Anything
do
collects.
in the other towns where he gets money?
They just like the other vendors don't have, it's consistent with other vendors. They don't have to submit any.
And honestly,
He can
we're
collect it.
not charging him to use the COA
No, I know, I
space.
understand
We're
that.
if we do it this way, we're just having him follow the rules
Right,
that
I
all
agree.
the other vendors have to follow. And that's,
No, when the other vendors submit their
They
money.
don't.
no, like you're talking
you mean
about the
for this town?
Halifax. Yeah.
Yeah, in
Okay,
Halifax.
yeah, for Halifax.
When they submit their money, what happens to the money?
It goes into the account, they get,
And
they
then-
They
record
get
it.
reimbursed for
Right.
some of it.
They get a check.
No, it's not reimbursement.
Well, I mean, they get paid for
They
some
get,
of it.
whatever they submit is what will come back to them, but it gets recorded.
Well, then what's the problem with him doing the same thing?
He doesn't
He
wanna
never
do
did
that.
it, and he
No, I
doesn't
know,
want to do
but
it.
it's a new rule as of today if we vote on it. You know, I mean, why shouldn't he follow the rules?
Well, what I wrote here was second option. Hope your things. Everyone was restful and confirming the use of the off-site location, which would be the town hall. This year there is a fee for the use of space. Changes regarding the use of space have happened within the last year, and we are offering options to service providers and hope you'll find one that meets your business needs. With that said, one option, request use of space at the town hall, Great Hall, is at $25 per hour, question mark. Second option, we can open the senior center for you on Wednesdays beginning January 29, though we ask that any funds collected for services be submitted to the accountant. The accountant would process the collected fee and issue a check for the amount turned over. This changes to align with the other vendors who have been following the submission process for some time. As always, we appreciate your good service and ask that you let us know as soon as possible.
So that creates work for the COA staff, because they would then take the money, and it would be, and then they would make out a bill schedule, and that would go over to town hall, and then they would have to write, like, pay to the order of, Joe Benson, whether they do it weekly, like, this is what I collected, it goes into the town, and then he gets a check from the town.
Now,
That's more work for the staff, but it's the correct way to do things.
does that, I lost my train of thought.
How about the van, Darlene? Would that be asking too much to use the van in January, in February and March?
Not at all. So see,
Or take them to Bridgewater and Whitman?
we can talk, yep, you could do that, so that would be an option.
Yes.
So we could provide an option to the public or to the seniors members in the community, in the senior center. We could actually say that if you want a ride to wherever you can get the earliest appointment, we will take you there, of course.
That would be
Yep.
good.
Yeah, so I mean, as an option, so that way they're still accessing his services, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then, but under the guidelines by which that town follows, or it's consistent with all around the board. Everybody's.
Which would be, I think, a good option. At least
think
you're
they
not
can-
just saying nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
I
he
think
can
should
come
be-
in, I think he should, if he wants to come in and use the building, just follow
Rules.
follow the rules.
Okay.
So if I don't know if he'll decide, like, all right, I'm just gonna not come to Halifax.
Well,
That
that's
might
his
be,
decision.
right, that's his decision.
That's not the COA's or the board's decision. That's his decision to make.
Right.
But with the van, you have an option for
Yeah.
the people.
Right, so,
It's
but
not
that's what
like
I'm
you
gonna-
cut them off.
Right, so these are the kind of things I think we need to be very transparent to the board, so that if they come across it within the community, because that's what you guys, you're
Right.
the liaison for the community, that if you do hear something, to say the reason why, and that's it's all the same flow. Not everybody's making something up,
Right.
you know. So there's consistency in the decision-making process here, and going forward. So, but again, you know, we got to be fair to the current vendors here, and you know, whether we call it in-kind services and that type of thing, but I don't know.
It's just like, you know, you have a Zumba instructor who's really giving a break to, and doing it out of, like, you know, if she can make $30 an hour and she's charging the seniors $5 and then submitting it to the town and then just waiting for $25 through the town that's going to be reported. Come on, like, it's only fair.
I agree. Yeah.
You know?
As long as we have an option for them, yes.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that ban is a great idea. And, I mean, we do charge them to go certain things. If we just charged them a little less specifically for taxes.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part about,
Could you do you know, a free ride or $1 a ride to wherever, just because it's
correct.
just because
now,
it's
that would
taxes.
be an in-kind service we could
Right.
provide. You know,
Like
say
we do
instead
that
of
at the
charging
library. I don't
$3,
charge for printouts of tax forms. And we just, that's kind of like what but we record, okay, I just made you, you know, 10 pages, but they're tax forms. I'm not going to charge you for those because I don't print out instruction booklets,
It's an
but,
in-kind service.
right.
Yep.
Right, so that could be the van ride to over there, could be an in-kind service.
I go for that.
And anytime he's in, you know, he comes to our building and he uses the building, we can consider that an in-kind service. But any money that he makes using our building has to be submitted to the town.
Okay. Yep. I'm on board with that.
Okay, yeah, that way there.
I mean, it's a little more work for the COA, but it's making things even for
Right.
the other vendors.
Well, the only problem I see with the van is you'd have to get a group from here. You don't want to be taking individuals on a Wednesday.
No, the thing is, we had 2 van drivers that were limited to what they can work, and days that they can work, I should say. And so, therefore, we didn't, you know, medical appointments are priority. So we try to accommodate all of them. We do go into Boston. And we're still providing a lot of concierge service. And concierge service meaning that you can call up and get a ride into Boston with our van. That's unusual. Okay, a lot of towns do not offer that.
Right.
They have some kind of other services options available to them. It's a very big issue, but yet we're in the business, well, I wouldn't say the word business, in the art of trying to serve the public in a respectful way. So to offer transportation to them is a very respectful thing to do in terms of even offering schooling for our children and busing the kids, picking the kids up. But of course some towns pay, you have to pay for that too. So, but our senior center, it's been run so that, that's our offering. The transportation is a really my needs, and transportation is a very valuable, in the town of Halifax, is a very valuable offering.
It is.
So I think we should put that and continue to talk about that, and I'll put that on the next agenda, and just so everybody's clear, I think that I always want to work towards offering those rides, whatever it takes, however we can figure out how to continue to offer that service. And so that's where I'm going, but I think just like we've really talked all of this out, I think we always need to have that as a discussion and how it best, keep the community first, and I think we've tried to do that with the tax guy by saying, okay, let's offer them free rides to over there. And offer him also to just, to meet at the COA and then just have it go all through the town, the proper channels. So let's take a vote that, because you'll have to call him and let him know that that's what we
Put it in
decided.
one format. The other thing too, we just want to make sure that we schedule people. So in other words, if they go, the van driver typically will wait. We don't want to be able to do that. So they'll have to drop the person off in certain towns. We would go, Bridgewater, whatever, Whitman, Duxbury, and then we would have to go make a run to do something else, you know, that kind of thing. Keep them moving rather than stagnant. So,
Well, it will be a lot of scheduling, but I think that's what you guys will have to figure
Yeah.
that part out.
I will.
So I'm going to take a vote that Darlene contact the tax accountant to let him know that if he would like to continue his services, and we thank him very much for his services, that the payment process would have to go through the regular channels if he wants to use the building, and then the COA will offer rides to different venues, and they will figure out, you know, that will be, scheduling will be the responsibility of the COA. So could I have a motion to accept all of that?
it's like the mission statement.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? And so then the next meeting, we'll definitely talk about the transportation into Boston, because we kind of touched upon that a couple of other times, and so I definitely want to talk about that. I'm so glad the resource room is done and beautiful, and I am hearing nothing but wonderful things for this Age Wave program. I know the 3 people in there are library patrons, and they come in or their caregivers come in and say nothing but great things about that program. So
I have an update on generations.
Oh yeah.
They're working on having a dog show, preferably in June. We don't have an exact date, but things have already been set in motion. They're getting vendors and donations and all that. They have a committee, and they're having meetings. The committee's pretty good. I mean, so
June. Okay.
it'll
So
be in June.
okay.
So on the tax thing, so people will have to contact that particular, it's Bridgewater and it's Whitman?
Yeah.
They would
So
have
I'll
to,
give them. I'll provide them. I'll call the people that have called in and just let them know that that they can actually access
Okay.
the services,
Okay.
and it will be at this location. If
Okay.
they choose to do, if they call them, I'll provide them with the telephone number, and they would just have to make an appointment.
They won't limit
Hopefully, I don't know.
to their own town.
I don't know. I will find out.
Okay, and I'm just going to bring a book, so if I'm there for a couple of hours, I'll give it a try and see how it works.
Yeah, I'll call the director and see what we can do for that.
Okay.
Maybe they can add another day or something. I don't know.
okay. Yeah, because those rates are the same, whether he does it in Halifax
Right,
or
doesn't
Bridgewater or,
Yeah.
okay.
The other thing too, OCES news or anything
Okay.
like that. So at this point, we do have a case manager assigned to us, which is good. Everything seems to be running pretty well so far. We're trying to make some kind of connection with Old Colony Elder Services has new technology funding. So I'm trying to access some of that service through them in terms of what they could offer for us, and they approached us on it too. So that would be like teaching how to use your cell phone, teaching technology in terms of how to use your iPad, what to look for emails, be careful of these types of emails that are out there. Everything's happening now, right? Everybody's UPS now. Their scams are still happening, and they happened within a couple weeks ago. So unfortunately, people are still, even though we educate, they're still happening. So hopefully with, some of this funding that these towns or nonprofits receive, that they can we can extract some of that service or program from that grant that they're getting. So I'm hoping that we can do something with them. And I reached out to Nicole Long, who is COA, the Oak Colony, I should keep calling it Oak Colony, but it's OCES, is the president. So to make sure that and also program director there to make sure that we're going to be a part of this new program for them within the community. So we're having that open discussion now.
Awesome.
So let's see what goes. All these little different connections.
Okay, so is that it? Should I call the meeting to?
I would say so. Okay. 10:35.
At 10:35, I'll call for adjournment, please.